So in this video, I'm going to go over the Semester 2 Quiz 1 review, okay? So first of all, it says solve for the missing piece of the triangle round to the nearest tenth. We're going to use the formula a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We're going to label our sides. So opposite the right angle is c. And then I'm going to just say this one's a and this one's b. Could have done it the other way around, but this is the way we're going to do it. So this is 5 squared plus 9 squared equals c squared. If I put that in the calculator, I get 106. Take the square root of 106 because that's what we're going to have to do to c squared to get c. And that gives me 10.3 inches, okay? Okay, then this next one, same thing. I'm going to draw my right angle over here. Opposite the right angle is going to be my c. I'm going to label this my a, the x the a. And this b, okay? So I'm going to get x squared plus 4 squared equals 8 squared, okay? So that's x squared plus 16 equals 64. We're going to subtract the 16 from both sides. So that gives me x squared is equal to 48. So we're going to take the square root of both sides. Now, keep in mind that when we're trying to find a simplest radical form, because it says give the exact answer, we're looking for a perfect square that's a factor. Those would be 2 times 2, which is 4. So 4, 9, 16, 25. So I'm going to start dividing this by those. And when I did that, I got 16 times 3 is 48. So I take square root of 16, square root of 3. I know that the square root of 16 is 4, so the answer is 4 square root of 3. Okay? The next one says the height of two buildings is 37 meters and 25 meters. So what I did is went ahead and drew two buildings. So I got 37 meters here for this side, and I got 25 meters there for that side. Then it says if the distance between the two buildings is 5 meters, so that's this right here, right? 5 meters. Okay, so then it says find the distance between their tops. So if I'm trying to find the distance between their tops, I'm talking about from here to there. Okay? Now we know that this was 5 meters down here, so this right here has to be 5 meters. So the only thing we have left to find is the third side of this triangle, right? And that's going to be the distance between the heights of the buildings. So that's going to be 37 minus 25, and that was 12, okay? So this side right here is going to be 12, okay? Remember, this down here was 5. Okay, so then there's my right angle. So once again, we're going to be solving for the hypotenuse. So I'm going to make this my A, and I'm going to make this my B. So it's going to be 12 squared plus 5 squared equals C squared. So that's, again, if I do 12 squared plus 5 squared in my calculator, I get 169 equals C squared. We're going to take the square root of both sides. So C is going to be 13 meters. All right, the next one says Q, R, and S are squares. The area of square R. So if all of these are squares, this kind of looks like Pythagorean's theorem to me. So I'm going to say Q's, actually I'm going to write this over the top of it because it's going to apply to both of these. Q squared plus R squared is going to be equal to S squared. Now why am I saying that? Because I see a right angle right there, right? So that one's got to represent my hypotenuse, right? Okay. So it says the area of square R is 1024. The area of square S is 1600. So that means I don't have Q. So Q squared is equal, plus my R squared, which is 1024, is going to be equal to 1600. So we're going to subtract 1024 from both sides. That's going to give us that Q squared is equal to 576. And it's asking us for the length of the side. So that means we're going to take the square root of both things. So Q is going to be equal to 24. Okay? Now we're going to do the same thing for the other one, but this one it looks like we're missing S, right? So this time we're going to say Q squared plus R squared equals S squared. So we've got 1296 plus 729 equals our S squared. Now this time it says we're looking for the area. So we don't have to take the square root. We're just going to add those two things together. And that's going to be our answer. 2025 is what I get when I add those two together. That's going to be my S squared, and that's my answer. Okay, on the next one, I'm going to draw 3 right triangles, and we're going to label them. Okay, so the first one says a 28-foot ladder leans against a wall. So first I want to say all of these have right angles right here. This is going to be my wall. This is going to be the floor. Okay, I'm just going to say that on the first one. Hopefully you can see it on the rest. So the ladder's leaning against the wall, so that's my 28 feet is right there, right? So isn't that going to be C? It says the top of the ladder is 24 feet from the ground, so that means this side right here is 24 feet. How far is the ladder's base from the wall? So this is what we're going to be looking for, right? So I'm going to make this my A and this my B, okay? So it's going to be 24 squared plus x squared equals 28 squared, okay? So when I do 24 squared, I got 576 equals, plus x squared equals 28 squared. I got 784. So I'm going to subtract the 576 from the 784. When I did that, I got x squared is equal to 208. And then I'm going to take square root of both sides, right? Square root. So x is equal to 14. It says round to the nearest tenth of a foot. So this is 14.4 feet. Okay? The next one says a 50-foot ladder. 50-foot ladder. There's my ladder. Leans against the wall. The ladder's base is 13 feet from the wall. So this time my 13 is right there. How far is the top of the ladder from the ground? So this is what we're looking for this time, okay? So I'm going to do x squared plus 13 squared equals 50 squared, okay? So that's going to be x squared plus 169 equals 2,500. Subtract the 169 from the 2,500. When I did that, I got 2,331. So x squared is equal to 2,331. Take the square root of both of those. So x here, again, it says round to the nearest tenth of a foot, is 48.3 feet. Okay? Okay, the last one. A ladder leans against the wall. The ladder's base is 5 feet from the wall. 5 feet here. The top of the ladder is 19.4 feet from the ground. So 19.4 feet is there. So what are we looking for this time? Aren't we looking for C right there? That's our hypotenuse, right? Okay, so we're going to do 19.4 squared plus 5 squared. And that's going to be equal to our C squared. This one says round your answer to the nearest foot. So I just put those in the calculator, 19.4 squared plus 5 squared. And I got 401.36. That equals my C squared. So I take the square root of both sides again. Square root. So C, when I round it to the nearest foot, was 20 feet. And ladders are normally going to be rounded to the nearest foot, guys. All right, so our next one says find X and Y. So I want to label things first. And I always want to mark my missing angle. So this is 45. That tells me that these two angles are congruent, thus these two sides are congruent. So this is also equal to y, isn't it? Now we have one formula for 45, 45, 90. It's h is equal to L, square root of 2. So I'm going to label this as L, and this is L, and this is h, because it's opposite the right angle, right? Okay. So I'm going to use the L and put it in the h formula. So I'm going to say x because that's what h is. So that's going to be 7 square root of 2 over 2 times the square root of 2, right? So we talked about this a lot in class. What does that simplify? Square root of 4, right? What's the square root of 4? 2. So anytime you have the same two radicals, same two numbers underneath the radical, you can just pull it out from underneath the radical. So x is equal to 7 times 2 over 2. What happens to those 2's? You're right, they cancel each other out, so x is equal to 7. And we already said y was up there equal, okay? All right, on this one, again, we're going to label what we don't know. So this is another 45-degree angle, arc, because those angles are congruent. That means those sides are congruent, right? So once we find our answer, we have it for both. Then what is this right here? This is our h, and these are our L and our L, right? So here, our one and only formula, h equals L square root of 2. Okay? So we're going to say 4 square root of 6 is equal to L square root of 2. We're going to divide both sides by the square root of 2 here. Now this is going to take you back to your properties of a radical. So what we can do here is we can say 4 times the square root of 6 divided by 2. What is that, guys? We can bring it right underneath one radical because it's the same thing. That's going to be equal to L. So this answer is going to be the 4 square root of 3. That's going to be our L, which was our what? X and our Y. Okay? So letter C, again, 45. There's another 45 right there. That means these two angles are congruent. V and U are going to be congruent. This time, this is our H, and we got our L and our L. Okay? So our formula H equals L square root of 2. This time we have 9 as our H, right? Now we're going to have to do what we call rationalizing the denominator, okay? So we're going to divide both sides by the square root of 2. Now, what did I teach you guys? We can never have a radical in the denominator, okay? So we're going to get rid of it by multiplying by it in the denominator, but we also have to multiply by it on the top because anything over itself is 1, right? So we're going to multiply these. So that's going to give me 9 square root of 2 on the top. And once again, when we multiply a square root of 2 by a square root of 2, what do we get? 2, right, guys? Because square root of 2 times square root of 2, square root of 4, square root of 4 is 2, okay? So that is our L, which means that is our V and our U. Okay, one more of these. Again, we got another 45-degree angle here, arc, arc. These two sides are going to be congruent. So what is B going to be equal to? 5, right? And this is our L. This is our H because it's opposite the right angle. So here's our formula again. H equals L square root of 2. So that's our A, and it's going to be equal to 5 square root of 2. Done. Okay? Now, we're going to do number 7. Number 7, again, we're going to find the missing angle first. This should always be your first step, okay? When you're doing these types of problems. So you can determine if this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle, okay? And it is. So we have two formulas here. We have the hypotenuse is equal to 2 times the short leg, and we have that the long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. So we're going to go ahead and label these sides. Again, opposite the right angle, that's our hypotenuse. Opposite the 30-degree angle, that's our short leg. So this leaves a long leg there, okay? Now, if we have the long leg, that's the formula we're going to use. So L is equal to S square root of 3, right? So this is going to be square root of 6 over 4 is equal to our Y square root of 3 because that's our S, right? Okay, so how do we get rid of this? We divide by square root of 3 here. We divide by the square root of 3 here. Now this is different, right? Because what do you see? We can put both of these under the same radical. So what is the square root of 6 divided by 3? That's going to be the square root of 2, right? So this is going to be the square root of 2. That's gone from there, right? Over 4. That's going to be our Y. And remember, Y is our S, right? Okay, so you might also want to put S here because now we need to use that to find the hypotenuse. So to find our hypotenuse, H is equal to X, right? So we're going to say H is equal to X, which is equal to 2 times the square root of 2 over 4. What does this right here simplify to be, right, guys? 2 over 4, right? 1/2. So H, well, let's just say X now, okay? X is equal to 1 over the square root of 2 over 2. So we don't need that 1, do we? So it's square root of 2 over 2. That's your answer. Okay, B. This is our 60-degree angle, right? So right there's our H. Opposite the 30, this is our S. And this is going to be our L. So what formula? It doesn't matter which formula we use now because we have S, okay? So I'm going to find the hypotenuse first. So that's going to be 2 times the short leg. So that's X equals 2 times 2 square root of 6. So that's going to be 4 square root of 6. That's going to be what X is equal to. Now we're going to use our L formula, right? So L is equal to S square root of 3, right? So our s was 2, so we're going to square root of 6. 2 squared is 6 times the square root of 3. That's going to be equal to our y this time, right? Okay. So once again, we can put that 6 and that 3 underneath the radical. So this is going to be 2 times the square root of 18, right? And doesn't 18 have a perfect square as a factor? This is going to be the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. So that can be simplified. So this is going to be 2 times 3 square root of 2. So that's going to be equal to 6 square root of 2. And that's what our y is equal to. Okay? You can take y'all back to those properties for radicals, okay? So here again, we're missing this angle, our 30-degree angle. So we got to find that first. This is our hypotenuse, right? This is the short leg is opposite the 30-degree angle. This is our long leg because it's opposite the 60-degree angle. So we have our h. We're going to use that formula. H equals short leg times 2, right? Or 2 times short leg, sorry. 2 times the short leg. So that means h, we're going to put the 3 there, sorry. 3 is equal to 2 times the short leg. So the short leg is going to be equal to 3 divided by 2, right? Okay, then we're going to find our L. So once again, L is equal to s square root of 3, right? So this is going to be A is equal to 3 over 2 times the square root of 3, right? So all of that goes on top. So it's 3 square root of 3 over 2 is A. All right, on this next one, we're missing our 30-degree angle. So there it is. We're going to label our sides. This is H. This is S. This is L. So now we have L, so we're going to use the L formula. So L equals S square root of 3. So 6 equals V square root of 3, right? Divide both by the square root of 3. So now here we are rationalizing our denominator again, right? So we got to multiply this by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. So that's going to be 6 square root of 3. Remember, when we do this, we get that 3. And we can simplify this right here because 6 divided by 3 is what? 2. So that's 2 square root of 3, and that's equal to our V. Okay, and that's also our short leg, remember. That's S. S equals, okay. So, when we're trying to find our hypotenuse, what are we going to do? H is equal to 2 times S, so 2 times 2 square root of 3 is going to be 4 square root of 3. That's what our hypotenuse is equal to, which is also what our U is equal to. Okay? All right, 2 more. It says find M and N. So again, this is 30 degrees. So opposite that, that's my H. This is my short leg. This is my long leg. I'm going to use the long leg formula. L equals S square root of 3. So 4 square root of 3 is equal to S square root of 3. What happens? The square root of 3's cancel out, right? So S is equal to 4. So H is equal to 2 times the short leg. Oh, and that's, by the way, N, right? Okay. H is equal to 2 times the short leg. So that's M is equal to 2 times 4, which is 8. One more and we're done. Okay, so here we go again. This is 30 degrees down here. This is our hypotenuse. This is my short leg. This is my long leg. So this time we're given the short leg, right? So we can use either formula. So H is equal to 2 times the short leg. So that means U is equal to 2 times 3. That's 6, right? Then we're going to find our L. L is equal to S square root of 3. So that's V is equal to 3 square root of 3. And we are done.